So this is how we do it for the future and present. Now, if you want to get something annual, so if you want to find what the A is going to be, if you have the P, we always multiply by A over P at I% and N period. If you want to get the P and we have the A, we multiply by P over A at I% and N period. And if you want to get the F, for instance, we do the same thing, F over A. So we can always create your own formula by multiplying by those parentheses, where you get those parentheses from the table that the interest table, or you could use formulas that are available. Okay, so these are the basic formula that you need to do the problems on the evaluation that we have to do now. Okay, so we talk about evaluation. So on the evaluation, we have to do present worth analysis. This is one of the evaluation that we do, where we bring everything to present and we try to find a net present worth, and the one that has a higher net present worth would be the best alternative. And then we do biannual method. So we make everything annually like A, and then the one that has a higher A, that will be the best alternative, net annual worth. Or we do by rate of return analysis. And we do by benefit cost ratio. And we do cost effectiveness. So these are the 5 methods that we're going to learn how to evaluate alternatives. So let's start with the first one. So on that one, we want to find the net future present worth. We call net present worth, NPW. And that will be equal to present worth of benefit minus present worth of cost. So it means that we have to bring the benefit to present and the cost to present and calculate. The best way to demonstrate this is to go through a homework problem that is given to you on the end of this chapter, that you have to do it. But I will start showing you how to do it, and then you finish it and give me as a homework. Let's go over those homework problems. The homework problem, that's going to be on page all right, let me find it. Okay, this is the problem here. Obviously, this is a homework problem on chapter 9. But we're going to talk about the problem with the present word. So that is problem number 3. Okay, that's the problem number 3. Compute the net present value of the following 3 projects, analyzing over 40 years with a 12% minimum attractive rate of return. Okay, the problem is on the next page, so I have to go to next page, but the problem is here. That's what you read, problem number 3. That's at the end of your chapter 10. Okay, so let's go over that problem. Okay, this is the problem here. So 3 projects are given, A, B, C, and then salvage value is given, service life is given, and then they have what they call annual decrease in travel costs. That's given. Yeah, that's page 322 and 321 of your textbook. The problem's on 321, and this table is in 322. All right, so we want to know how to do this problem. So what it is you have an initial cost of 10 million. Your salvage value is given, and it takes only 10 years. So if I have to draw the diagram for this one, I have to use the page, white page. So let me just use the white page to do it. But remember, this is the problem. We can look at it. So I don't have to write it again. So okay, so I'm going to go to the white page. So remember, you have to get these amounts on each project, the salvage value, and how long it's going to last. And the annual decrease in travel costs, that's the benefit. Because if you have the decrease in annual costs, that will give you the benefit. So 0.8, 0.75, and 0.9 will be your benefit. Okay, so let's go over that in the white page. So, okay, so I'm going to show you that, first of all, on present worth analysis, one thing you have to remember, the only way you can compute or compare the alternatives, if the alternative have the same life. So for instance, on this project, project A is only lasting for 10 years, project B is lasting for 20, project C is lasting for 40. So in order to compare these, you have to have all of them at 40 years. So it has to be 40 years. So they should have the same period. So what we do is we duplicate the alternative into 40 years. So on the first one that we have 10 years, so here is the alternative 1. Okay, so they give you the cost, and that will be 10 million. They say annual decrease in travel cost, although it say travel cost, but since it's an annual decrease in cost, that will be your benefit. So that will be 0.8, 0.8, correct? So these will be your benefit up to about 10 years. All right, so that will be continuing each year until 10 years. Now, there is a salvage value at the end of 10 years. So there is the extra amount of cost that we have to add here. Which we call salvage value. The salvage value is $500,000. And then you have 0.8, which is your annual benefit. Now to duplicate this, because this is for 10 years, so we want to have it for 40 years. So we have to duplicate this. That means we have to buy another one for 10 million and have the same things, 0.8, 0.8, 0.8, okay, for 20 years. And then you will have a 0.8, and then you have 0.5 on top of it, because that's the salvage value. And then you have to buy another one. This is year 20. And then you have to continue this for 30 years. And then the same thing. So 0.8 and 0.5. All right, but we don't buy any more. So the 10 million just stop on the year 30. Okay. Everybody understand this diagram? So we purchase for 10 million. We have a benefit 0.8 million each year, because they say annual decrease. So it's the annual benefit. We have a salvage value. Always salvage value is at the end last year when you sell it or get rid of it, and you get $500,000. So we do the same thing, duplicate that for 40 years. Now, the second one will be for 40 years. So that will be the same thing, except you will have 10 million here, not 10 million, 22 million. Your annual decrease is 0.75. So we'll go for 20 years. Your salvage value is given as 1.5. And then you have the same benefit each year. And you have to buy another one for 22 million here. This is year 20. And you have a salvage value here is 1.5. And this is 0.75. Okay, and this is year 40. All right, any question on this one? So we made it equal 40 years. And what would be the third diagram? The third diagram, this is alternative A, this is the B, and the alternative C is simply just purchasing it for 42 million. You have a benefit of 0.9. So each year, and salvage value is 3.6. Okay, 3.6. And this is for 40 years already. So you have to draw these diagrams in order to analyze it, but make sure that you have the same period, 40 years. You cannot compare them if you have a different years. Now, by present worth analysis, as we mentioned in the previous page, we said the net present worth is equal to present worth of benefit minus present worth of cost. So that means you have to bring all the benefit to present, all the cost to present, subtract from each other, and see which one is the best one. So on alternative A, if I want to bring everything to present, what would be net present? What would be, let's say, net present worth of A? What would be my benefit at the present? My benefit is only 0.8, and it goes all the way. So I have 0.8, which is my benefit. This is annual, so that's the A. If I want to bring it to present, I multiply by P over A, correct? Because this is already A times P over A give you present. So that problem give you 12% interest and 40 years. So that take care of all the benefit. Any question on that? How do we bring all the annual to the present?
Where did the 12% came from, or did you just got that?
Where is what?
The 12%, where did it came from?
12% the problem give you. Yeah, if you read the problem, say 12% interest rate.
Got it, thank you.
And 40 years, they say. Okay, any other question? All right, so that take care of the benefit at the present. That means everything on this point, all the 0.8 come to be here. If you calculate this, that will be all the summation of all the benefits. Now we have to look at the cost. The cost minus, at the present, there's a 10 million. We don't have to do anything because it's right there. But then on the year 10, what do we have? We have a 10 million, but then there's a $500,000 salvage. $500,000 is always part of the cost. Remember, it's not a benefit. So it's minus 0.5, which is your salvage. Okay, the other direction is 9.5, the net. Then we have to multiply that by present over future, because we are bringing future to present. Again, 12% and 10 years, because we are bringing this 10-year back. And then minus the second 10. So again, will be 10 minus 0.5 times P over F at 12% and 20 years. So we brought the second 10 back. Now the third one will be minus, again, 10 minus 0.5, okay, times P over F again at 12% and 30 years. So we brought the third one back. And then the last one, we don't have a 10 million, but we have a $500,000. So that will be plus 0.5 times P over F at 12% and 40 years, equal to. So you got to go to the table and find what the P over A is for 12%, 40 years, what P over F is for each of those periods, put them there, add and multiply and find a number.
Professor, is the last one 0.5 or is it 1.5?
No, it's the 0.5 here. This is the one I'm talking about. The salvage value is 0.5. 1.5 is for the B, 3.6 for the C. Is that your question?
Yeah.
0.5, yes. Okay. Now that was for alternative A. What would be for alternative B? Similar to this. So you say net present worth of B is equal to still 0.8. The benefit is 0.75. Then you have to multiply P over A at 12% and 40 years, the same period. Minus 22 million, which is at the beginning, so we don't have to do anything with it. But then the minus 22 million year 20 minus 1.5, the salvage value. And then time P over F at 12% and 20 years. And the last one would be plus 1.5 million time P over F at 12% and 40 years equal to. So you do that calculation and you get a number for that. And the last one is easy because you just have net present worth of C is equal to 0.9 times P over A at 12% and 40 years. Okay, the minus 42 million and then plus 3.6 million, the salvage value time P over F at 12% and 40 years. And you calculate this number. So when you do the calculation, I'm assuming that it will come all negatives because the cost exceed your benefit. So if they're all negative, we go with the lower cost. So we want to go with the smaller negative number. So that will be the best alternative. If they were all positive, that means they were all net benefit, then we will go with the higher net worth. So in that case, you will go with the highest number.
So, Professor, when you say the smallest negative number, it means the negative number furthest away from zero?
Yes. So
Okay.
if it is minus 10,000, the other one is minus 5,000, you choose minus 5,000, the best. Okay. Is that clear? So this is how you do this problem. This is the present worth analysis. So first, remember present worth analysis, you got to have the same period. I could not compare 10 year with 20 year and 40 years. All have to have the same period. Once they have the same period, then you just set up the equation and get those numbers and multiply, add, and then find the net result. Any question on net present worth? Is that clear to everyone? Okay.
Professor.
Now, the next method is,
Professor,
yes,
for the exams, will we have to have the tables present with us?
yes, on the exam, I give you a table for the interest rate, or I might just give you the numbers that you need to multiply.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other question? Okay, now we want to do it by method of annual. What annual method is that you get the net. This is the annual method. By method of annual method, you get the net annual worth. which is equal to equal uniform annual benefit minus equal uniform annual cost, which means that we make the benefit annually because we make the cost annually, we subtract from each other, and we get the net profit in A. So instead of finding the P, we find the A. But you have to have all the benefit into A, all the costs into A, subtract from each other. Any question on that? The advantage of annual method is this, that you don't have to worry about the periods. So on that problem, the one that we just had, so I had the 10 million, okay, and I had 0.8 for 10 years, and I had $500,000 here as a salvage value, and this was a 10 year. So how do I make the net annual worth? First of all, my benefit is already annual. I don't have to do anything. They're already A. So my benefit is already annual. So 0.8 is my benefit. Now my cost, 10 million, is at the present. This is a P. How do I make P into A? So I say A equal to P times what? A over P, correct? In order to make it annual. So here I will have minus 10 million, and I have to multiply that by A over P at 12% and 10 years. So that makes the $10 annually. And then the salvage value is the future. So to get the annual, so I have to multiply F by A over F, correct? To get the A, so that will be minus plus 0.5 times A over F at 12% and 10 years equal to. All right, so that's how I find the net annual worth of the alternative A. As you see, it is very simple. You don't have to duplicate that. Now, the next one, alternative B, is for 22 million. And then I had 0.75 annual. And then I had 1.5. So this was for 20 years. So pretty much the same formula. You put net annual worth. This is the A and this is the B, is equal to 0.75 is the annual benefit minus 22 million times A over P. That's 12% and 20 years. And then plus 1.5 times A over F at 12% and 20 years equal to. Okay. Any question on that? So that is now for B. So we don't have to worry about period. all we have to do is just do the annual. And on the number 3, same thing, except you have 42 million and you have 3.9 as a benefit. And you have 3.6 as a salvage. So we say the same formula will be 0.9, which is your benefit, minus 42 million times A over P at 12% and 40 years plus 3.6 times A over F at 12% and 40 years equal to. So you calculate these, each of them. The one that, again, if it's negative, the one that's lowest negative is the best alternative. If they are positive, the highest number would be the best alternative. Both of these methods should give you the same answer. So as a homework, I want you guys to work on it and finish it. The first one, which is the present worth, and this should be done by annual method. So there are 2 problems. Don't forget, this is not on the book. So you have to do this one also. These 2 problems, you have to finish it.
Can you
Which
repeat that again? You said it
Re-
was the highest positive is a
Yeah.
better one, and for the negative?
Yeah, so just think about net annual worth is what? Is the net profit. So when it's the net profit, the highest number, if it's positive, is the best one, correct? Highest
Right.
number of profit. But if it's a negative, so that means your costs exceed your benefit. So you go with the lower cost,
Got it.
okay? All right,
Right.
so
Thank you.
2 problems, you should finish them for next time. Okay, the A over P over F, you can get it if you have an engineering economic book or any type of a, you can Google it actually, interest rate table, they call it. And they give it to you. It's pretty much everywhere, yeah. Okay, interest rate table, they call it. All right, any other question? So we talk about present worth analysis, we talk about annual method. There is another problem, which is number 4, problem number 4 in your book, that is done by annual method also. So we will go over that one too. Okay, so let's see which one is that one. Okay. If you guys have a book, all right, you can look at the problem. Let me see if I can. All right, now let's look at the pictures of the other problem. Okay, this is another problem that you have. They say compute the equivalent uniform net annual return of the following rapid transit project use the discount rate of 8%. Okay? So they want you to find everything in annual return. So they want you to do annual return. So we have to make everything annual. Now, the benefit, here is the annual benefit. The benefit is given annually. Why? Decrease direct user cost. We talked about user cost before. User cost is what you pay for your gas, okay, your tire wear, maintenance of the car, depreciation of the car, okay, all of these, and your time that you're spending on the freeway, these are all part of user cost. So decrease, when we say decrease, that means it's benefit. Obviously, if you go over one highway and your cost is much lower than another highway, that highway has more benefit. So the $40 million is your decreased user cost, which is the benefit. Indirect community benefit is 55 million. So the total of these, which is 95 million, okay, this is your total benefit. And it is annual, because here it says annual benefit. So this is annual. So you have the benefit annually. Now you have to figure out what would be your annual cost going to be. And your annual cost, they gave you a bunch of costs here, but they are all present value. So for instance, right-of-way cost is $200 million. That's the present. We have to, because they say initial cost, this is the present. We have to make it annual. So if you have a P and you want to make it annual, okay, you know how to do that. So each of them, we have to do it annual. So when we do all of them annually, we add them up together. So that will be your annual cost. You have your annual benefit, and then you can find what would be your net annual return. Okay, so let's start looking at how we can make right away annually. So it's 200 million. So it's like $200 million you pay here. But that goes for infinite number of years. And there's no salvage value. So how do I make that into this diagram, which is all annual for infinite number of years? So when you have infinity, if you want to get the annual, you have to multiply your present amount by your interest rate. That's when you have infinite number of periods. So that is the formula. A equal to PI if you have infinite number of years, which in this case we do. So to get this annual, all we have to do is just multiply this, and the interest rate is given to you at 8%. So if I multiply this by 0.08, which is the interest rate, so I get 16 million. So 60 million will be each year, forever. Any question on that? All right. Now, how do I make 250 million main structure annually? On this one, we have 25 million. 250 million. So 250 here. for 25 years. I mean, for 50 years. But there is a salvage value of 25. So I want to make this diagram into annual. So I have to make 250 annual. I have to make salvage value into annual and subtract from each other. So the formula for that one is what? 250 is the present. So if I want to make it annual, is 250 times what? A over P, because 250 is the P. If I multiply P by A over P, I get the A. Okay? Interest rate is given at 8% and 50 years, correct? So you find A over P at 8%, 50 years. Now, the salvage value is the opposite direction. So I have to subtract 25 million, which is the future. If I want to make it future into annual, you multiply A over F at 8% and 50 years equal to. So you calculate that, and that will give you the annual cost of main structure. Any question on this? So you do the same thing with the drainage. Instead of 250, you have 70 million. Salvage value is 10 and 25. So it's pretty much the same formula. Earthwork, 50 million is present. The salvage value, they said nil, means zero. That means zero. There's no salvage value. So that's easier. It's only 50 million times A over P for 50 years. And you do the same for others. When you do that, you add up all of them together, and that will be your cost. This will be your benefit. So you can find what would be your B over C ratio, because that's what they are asking. What's the benefit cost ratio? Whatever it is, if it's greater than 1, means the project is good to invest. If it's less than 1, we don't want to do it. Okay? Any question on this? So this is again the annual method. So you should complete this problem for next time too.
Professor, C is 95, and then B is whatever we sum up? Or is it the opposite?
No, the B is 95.
Oh, okay, B is the 95.
Yeah, B is 95, 40 million plus 55 million. And that's the annual. So B is annual. So you need to get the cost annual. So that's what we were doing. All the costs, you have to make it annual, so that you can be able to divide by each other and see if it's greater than 1 or less than 1.
And one more time, you said if it's less than 1, we want it?
Yeah, if it's less than 1 means that your benefit is less than your cost. So you don't want to invest in something that your cost is higher than your benefit, right?
Yeah.
You get less benefit than you're investing. You don't want that. So that's what less than 1 means. So if it's greater than 1 means that overall your benefit is exceeding your cost, which is good project to do. Okay, any other question? Okay, The next one that we have to talk about is the rate of return on O. Okay. Or let me just do benefit cost ratio, the problem number one. Okay. All right. Now, on problem number one, let me go back to the photos. Okay. In this problem here is that they said use the benefit cost ratio method to select the most economic scheme from the following three proposals with the minimum attractive rate of return of 10%. They gave you 10% as the interest rate, 30-year analysis. Okay, in this problem, they give you, first of all, it's for 30 years. So all the alternatives for the 30 years. So we don't have to do anything with regard to the duplication of periods and so on. Now, the only thing that you have to do here, you have to recognize what is the benefit, what is the cost. The cost, initial cost, that's the cost. So we have the cost over here. So this is the cost. And that's the P, present. The maintenance cost also is a cost. User cost is always a cost. And salvage value is the amount that you receive at the end. So if you consider all of them a cost, what would be the benefit? Because in the benefit cost ratio, we have to find the benefit over the cost. Okay, we have to get this ratio. Now, whether this ratio will be all at the present, so that means present worth of cost, benefit over present worth of cost, or we can make it annual, equal uniform annual benefit over equal uniform annual cost. Okay, or we can do it by future worth of benefit over future worth of cost. But when we are doing benefit over cost ratio, remember that both of them have to be at the same point of time. Like the last problem, we had the benefit annually, so we had to make all the costs annually. So that was this situation here. Okay, now, what would be the benefit? Because we need benefit. The benefit in this type of problem is a reduction in maintenance cost. So let's say you have two highways, one like this, one like this. Like one is the highway 5, one is the 101. If you travel on 5 and 101, let's say the maintenance cost of highway 5 is A, okay, is 170. And maintenance cost of highway 101 is 100. So this is a 101, this is a 5, correct? So it seems like maybe the opposite, opposite, hold on. Maybe what we can say that this is a highway 101 and this is a 5, right? So if it costs you more money to maintain highway 101, which is 170 million or 170,000. So highway 5 has benefit over highway 101. How much is the difference between the maintenance cost? So highway 5 has $70 million more benefit than highway 101. because it costs less money to maintain. And these are maintenance costs is always annual. So these are always, remember, maintenance cost is always annual. They might not tell you, but you have to remember maintenance and user costs, they are annual. That means when they report how much it costs to maintain the highway, they talk about the annual. They don't talk about, well, it costs $170 million, for instance, for the next 20 years. Nobody knows. They just talk about annually. So maintenance cost is annual. Reduction in maintenance cost is your benefit. So if I'm comparing do nothing with alternative A has more benefit than alternative do nothing. How much benefit? $80 million, 250 minus 170, $80 million, 101 has more benefit than do nothing. Now, the same thing with user costs. If you have less user costs, if you are using Highway 5, less time to get to San Francisco, less tire wear because it's straight, less gasoline usage. So therefore, you have less user cost than 101. How much? The difference between them, which is what? 900, correct? So Highway 5, the user cost has $900,000 more saving than 101. So this is going to be your benefit. So this is your benefit, and this is your benefit. So these two is considered as a benefit. Just remember that. This is very important, because if I give you a problem like this on the final, I know that a lot of you will ask this question. You put all the costs here, where are the benefits? And at that time I said, I don't know. But I know now that reduction in maintenance costs, reduction in user costs is the benefit. And salvage value is always part of your cost. Okay? So how do I get the benefit to present? We have the cost at the present. So how do we get the benefit and the cost? Now, if you are looking at, if I say A versus do nothing, okay, let me go over the a page, white page to calculate this. So you have this page in your book, just keep looking at it, okay? And then I have to go to the white page. All right. So I would say that I want to compare A versus do nothing. I want to know whether A is better or do nothing is better. So I have to look at the difference between the cost and difference between the benefit. What would be the difference between the benefit? How much the A benefits? The A benefit how much? First of all, reduction maintenance cost, which is what? Is 250 minus 170. That's the difference between the maintenance cost, which we said that's the benefit. Plus the difference between the user cost, which is 8,000 minus 6,500, correct? So these are the difference between them. When we add them together, that's the benefit. But this benefit are annual. That's the A. So how do I make A into P? We multiply P over A, correct? So I multiply the whole thing by P over A. All right. The problem give you 8% and 30 years. So this will be your benefit at the present. So this is a present worth of benefit. Now we have to find present worth of cost. Now present worth of cost will be the difference between the cost of each. So it will be 6,500 cost of A minus 0. So that's at the present. I don't have to do anything. But then we have a salvage value, which is part of the cost, but the opposite direction. So that will be minus 500 minus 0, because salvage value of do nothing is 0. Salvage value of the A is 500. But again, this is in the future. So if I want to get the present value of future, what do I do? Multiply by P over F, correct? So this is the future. I have to multiply by P over F at 8% and 30 years, correct? Any question? So what I did is I found the delta PWB over delta PWC. Difference between the benefit, difference between the cost. Now, if the difference between the benefit over difference between the cost is higher than 1, means that what? Means the alternative that has a higher benefit is good, because I don't have to pay too much money to get that extra benefit. Because delta PWB is the extra benefit. This is the extra benefit of A on the numerator. Extra benefit of A compared with do nothing. And the denominator is the extra benefit of cost of A compared to do nothing. Everybody understand that? So if the extra benefit is the extra benefit of A, okay, versus do nothing, is greater than extra cost of A versus do nothing, means that this is going to be greater than 1. If that's a greater than 1, we like that extra benefit because it's worth it. The extra cost is less than that, so it's worth it. So I go with the one with the higher benefit. Which one has a higher benefit? If you calculate this, if it's greater than 1, then A is better than do nothing. So comparing these two alternatives, A is better. If it was less than 1, then do nothing is better. Because that extra benefit, my extra cost is more than that. I don't want that extra benefit. Any question on that? All right, now what you do, let's say A was better. Now we have to say A versus the next one, B. Now we want to know which one is better, A or a B. So you do the same thing. You get the difference between the maintenance cost, which is 170 minus 100. Difference between the user cost, which is 6,500 minus 5,600. So these are all annual. You multiply P over A at 8% and 30 years, right? Okay. And then divide it by to find what would be the extra cost. So the cost of B is 10,200. The cost of A was 6,500. So that's at the present. We don't have to do anything. But the salvage value will be in the future. So that's 1,200 minus 500. And that's the future. So we have to multiply by P over F. Same thing that we did on the top, 8% and 30 years. Now you calculate that. Again, if that will be greater than 1, A is better. No, if it's greater than 1, B is better because B has a higher benefit, correct? If it's less than 1, then we don't want extra benefits, so we go with the A. All right, so that's how we do this problem. So once you do, if A was better, then you have to do with A versus C and finding out which one is the best one. So I want you to complete this problem for next week also. And then there will be one more problem left, which is rate of return analysis. We talk about it next time. Any question?
So next week's homework is problem 1 and 3.
Yeah, problem number 1 and problem number 3, you have to do them 2 times. One annual method, one present work, which I show you that. And then problem number 4, you have to do. So there are 4 problems that you have to do. 1, 2 of the 3, and 1 of the 4. So 1, 3 by present work, 3 by annual, and number 4. So there are 4 problems. Next time I give you 1 more, so that will be 5 problems.
Good, thank you.
But definitely work on these because 100% you will have one of these on your final exam. You have to understand how to do it. Okay? Any more question? All right. So then we end the session here. Talk to you guys next time. Have a nice evening.